I'm gonna red card myself for that statement.
Waka waka, zamina mina sankale wa na wadada. Zamina mina, waka waka, zamina mina sankale wa anawa.
Not sure what that was all about.
I act and I think like a white person instead of a black person. I believe that I'm completely and utterly better than them. Like, we're on two different levels. Like, okay, African Americans are here, I'm here.
Interesting.
Ebony and ivory live together in perfect harmony, side by side on my piano keyboard. Oh Lord, why don't we? We all know that people are the same wherever you go. There is good and bad in everyone. When we learn to live, we learn to give each other what we need to survive. Together alive, ebony and ivory.
You guys weren't singing along? No?
I was.
Yeah, and, I hated that song when it came out.
Oh, you did?
Hey, make a song with that.
Sometimes I'm right and I can be wrong. My own beliefs are in my song. The butcher, the baker, the drummer, and then makes no difference what group I'm in. I am everyday people. Yeah, yeah. We got to live together. I am no better, and neither are you.
There are you. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another fun Saturday. What up? What up? What up? 5BC in the house. Last week, we had a show that was, I would say, off the charts. I mean, I've never gotten a response like that from any show we've done. Before I go into that, please, if you checking us out, check us out on Facebook or YouTube. Either one's fine, but we're trying to reach us out. Let me get preached back in. Okay. So where did Nunzo go?
Actually, Nunzo and I are the same person. I have to admit that.
Okay, Nunzo, please come back. Please check us out on Facebook or YouTube. Like us on YouTube, stream, subscribe, share, all the stuff, because our show is beginning to take off. We have 2,000 plus followers on TikTok. Which is absolutely phenomenal, seeing that we have very minimal videos on there. But anything I need to add, Tanya? Did I forget anything? You know, you could feel free to remind me.
Like and subscribe. That's
like and subscribe. Last week's show, like I said, was hot. We have we have a in-house saying that I have. We have a really great show. I'm not going to share that. I'm going to keep that around the 5 black comments. That's not something I'm going to share. I will get the red card on that. We are back. We're talking about the relationship between Africans, African Americans, and black people from the Caribbean. Apparently, African Americans or Black Americans, however you want to call it, seem to think that people from the Caribbean and people from Africa don't like them or look down on them or don't have any respect for them. On the other hand, people from the Caribbean seem to think we come to this country. I'm from the Caribbean. We have Nanzo, who's from Africa. And some of us feel that African Americans don't like us coming to their country, and they treat us, they look down on us because we are from Africa or the Caribbean. You saw the video I showed where the guy was saying that when people think of Africans, they think of lions and out on the Serengeti and fighting riding water buffalo. All that stuff is what comes to mind when people think of Africa, which you can't blame people who've never been to Africa. That's all they show us on the TV. So it's really not our fault. But let's get right into it. Kevin asked a really good question last week. He asked me, what do people from the Caribbean and Africa, what are we told about African Americans? Because he can't understand how can we come into a country and immediately start to look down on African Americans. I had my thoughts on it. I said, it has a lot to do with media. And also, when you come to this country, nothing is said, but you can tell who the underclass are without anything being said. You can just see how people are treated. I actually heard a Chinese lady said that when they come to America, they can tell there's a pecking order, and she can see that the white people have the upper hand and the black people are not. There goes Nanzo again. Nanzo's gone again. Hopefully Nanzo comes back soon. I was going to go to Nanzo first, but apparently that's not going to happen.
He probably can hear you.
Pardon me?
He probably can hear you, but you can't see him.
No, I can't.
He's not there at all.
He can't even hear us because he's not even, Come on, Nanzo, you got to represent. You're representing Africa. You're representing the entire motherland.
The motherland.
So Preach, I'm gonna go to you first. I know last week the topic was really hot, and when Kevin asks, here's Nanzo again. So let's get him quick before he's back again.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
Yeah. I think I'm just gonna give up on the video because dropping me off. Yeah.
All right, no problem. So the question was, what, as an African, when you came to, you're in Canada, but when you came to this side of the world, what were your views of Black people?
Well, okay. Now, first off, I didn't even come to Canada I didn't come to Canada straight up from Nigeria. I came to Europe. I first came to France.
Yeah.
I first came on a scholarship to France to study in France. Then eventually it was an international program that took me right across Europe.
Okay.
Now the thing is, sorry to say this. I'm gonna be quite frank.
Okay, Nanzo. This is exactly. We want your thoughts.
Yeah, I'll tell you because
be honest.
I'm gonna be very honest. When you come to Africa, when you come as a Black person in Africa, there's already this right off the bat coming to Europe, and there's already that division, and very little that is being said about Black people in diaspora. First off, Africa in itself is not as united as a whole lot of people perceive it to be. Very, very far from it. And why I'm saying this is that even within Africa, there's that whole differentiation, I would call it, that within the languages as is, right? Starting from because Africa has three parts to it. There's the French Africa, there's the British Africa, there's the Portuguese Africa, and there's the Spanish Africa. Whether you believe it or not, these groups find themselves to be distinct, and there's already that demarcation from the colonization and the politics and the administration that already exists. So there's that struggle within these groups. As much as, to be honest, the whole Africans tend to be more united when they come abroad as against when within the continent. In the continent, there's a huge separation in the continent that nobody, particularly those coming from the States, Black Americans coming from the States, you guys perhaps see Africa as this one whole bundle. It's far from it. And this, I'm just talking at the high level here, just looking at the colonization and the amount of damage that you find from the whole segregation, like a typical person from Angola coming to Nigeria. He doesn't see himself from that Black perspective. He sees himself from the perception, that the colonial perception that the Portuguese had already put in. A British person or a British African, say Nigerian, like myself from Ghana, going down to say Cameroon or Gabon, there's that the association. We don't see ourselves typically as being part of that group. They also don't see themselves, even when they come to Nigeria, as typically being, there's still that brotherhood, but it's not, you appreciate that brotherhood more when, say, for example, you live as a Nigerian, you come to England or you go to France. That's when you now understand the meaning of, because when you get to these countries, nobody cares if you're Cameroonian or Nigerian. Nobody gives a shit about any of that. For them,
so what you're saying is already a division.
There is already a division in the continent.
In the continent of Africa.
In the continent. And then you appreciate this better, like when you come out and then you go back to the continent, it gives you you get a better understanding on how much damage the colonial times and the administrative segregation that the Brits and the French and perhaps the Spanish and the Portuguese actually brought into the continent. And that segregation still exists even till today. Not specifically in West Africa, right across Africa.
Preach.
Even in
North
Africa.
Huh?
You can't be sleeping.
Yeah. even in North Africa, like when you go, a typical Sudanese person sees himself, I don't know if any of you knows this, Sudanese and people in North Africa who are pretty much Black, when you look at the genetics, see themselves more as Arabs than Blacks. A lot of people don't know this. If you meet a Sudanese man in the US and call him a Black person, he sees himself more Arab than Black.
So when you came you're in Canada at the
yeah. So
right.
Now when I came to France, I came, studied the language and then studied in French. Then after my program, I decided to move to the UK. It was a different climate because coming to the UK, I had more opportunities to work there. In France, even with the language, even the French people, the French Africans couldn't find work. The level of discrimination I saw in the likes of France and the Netherlands was nothing compared to what you typically experience in the UK, particularly as a Black person.
It was worse, you were saying, in France and the Netherlands?
It was worse in France.
It was more in your face? Like here in America, they try to hide it with a smile.
The thing is, the Brits, they will be racist to you, but there will be a little bit of suppleness to it. The French people it will be right in your face. I'm going to tell you straight up. This is my own experience. The French are more racist than the Germans.
Can you give me an example? Can you give me a couple of examples?
Okay. I'll tell you now. Let's say, for example, because I'll use my experience as a student in France and a student in Germany. I'll use that.
Okay.
I remember when I was learning, I learned the French language in 6 months. And this is coming from someone coming from a background where I never really spoke any French. Now, my earlier presentation, I did a 6 months course, then I got into the master's program. After the 6 months, 6 months is not a good enough time to actually, I was at least in 6 months, my written French was good to the point that I passed all the exams that allowed me to join the program. Now, when I got into the class, the oral aspect of the language, you need to, and this is a situation where I was fully immersed in the language. At the early stages, because most French educational system is of good quality. So a lot of the stuff is very practical and you do presentations and you talk. Education in France pretty much is free for everyone. You don't pay fees. Yeah. But the students would laugh at you and make really ridiculous comments based on your color that you would not understand at the early stages. Eventually, when you start understanding the language, they'll still say it in your face, in cafeterias, in the class. They laugh about it. But now, these things, when you know they are things that are actually said to make mockery of you, it's only when you go back and think of them in the context of colonization and color that you now start understanding them, right?
All right,
no.
Can I say something? Oh, I know you.
Go ahead, Tanya. I was going to go to preach. Go ahead.
Yes, I forgot. No, well, just on what he was just saying, I can tell you, and I'll go, but you can come back to me later. I can tell you firsthand, I witnessed how racist they were in France, and I was horrified. I thought Italy was bad, but that's France. Whew, whole new meaning. So go ahead.
And now why I say this is it's not because I did not experience any of those kind of crazy things in places like Germany. Now, what I liked about and again, by the way, I speak both French and German fluently now. Now, when I was in Germany, what I liked about the Germans were when they don't really like you, their first conversation with you will be very polite, and they will make it very plain to you that they have issues with people of color, and they will move on. Now, if you keep pushing yourself to them, you'd probably have problems with them, particularly the neo-Nazis and those who still buy the Adolf Hitler ideology. But the ones who open up themselves to you, they will be there for you 100% till the very end. They'll be the best friends you'd ever have. And they will, when a German person really likes you or is into you, the person is 100% there for you. When a French person can pretend for years to be your friend, and he will be the one to stab you, like he will do the nastiest thing. Even it got to a point when I was in France, I never trusted anyone in my class because I even trusted those who were really more nasty to me, that I knew they were straight up. They don't give a shit about people of color, right?
Nando, you said that the racism in Netherlands and Germany doesn't compare to America. I mean, we've seen some horrible things in America. We have pictures and videos of lynching, and you've seen the George Floyd. And I mean, what's worse? I mean,
well, to be honest, I think there's a whole lot more racism and evident racism. And this is me talking meeting Americans in Europe and me being to the States. I think seriously, this is not to diss the United States. The US is quite a lot more racist and aggressive to people of color than Europe is in total. This is just point blank truth. I know Americans living in Germany, living in the likes of France, who would never come to the US. They prefer their lives in the likes of, I can tell you, when I went to Germany, I went up to places like Braunschweig, Stuttgart, München. Cologne in the south, Frankfurt am Main. I've met a lot of. Do you know how many black soldiers who absconded the U.S. military and took on the German citizenship? Do you know how many? They abandoned their military assignments in Germany, not to even come back to the States. Many.
Well, we agree with you. We agree. We're not arguing that point. We agree with you on that.
Many that I met that they were just more comfortable. Even and this is not to say that they were not discriminated against in any way, but they for them that life, regardless of what they faced, was 1,000 times better than what they experienced in their place.
Was that were those that you're talking about during World War II or
not World War II? I wasn't even born then. I'm telling you, people that I met. People I met in 2000, and I'm not. When we talk about these things, it's like 2000.
But understand this: there are military people who were in World War II who are still alive today. So
I'm not talking about old people. I'm talking about young folks, young Marines who came, because there's still an active base. I think in Nuremberg, Germany, there's a huge U.S. military presence in Nuremberg.
Yes.
There's a huge military presence if you go to North Rhine-Westphalia, parts of Cologne, Bochum. I know Germany quite well. I know Germany really good. So I went right across. When I was a student, I traveled right across. I met Americans, I met Africans, I met people from all sorts of places. And people who are now Germans, a lot of them some are married to black people, a lot not married, but they've got mixed kids all over. And they have a good life in Germany.
But Nanjo, what's your life like now that you're in Canada? How do you get along with Black Canadians? I don't think you've ever lived in America, have you?
No, I've not lived in America, but I've worked for an American company. I actually worked for John Deere.
What have you experienced?
I've had now, and this again, what I notice is the U.S. is quite diverse. It depends on the states that you're living in. It can be very different if you're living in a blue state as against the red state. That's what I find. So I worked for John Deere. I did robotics and automations for them for years. So a lot of my work would bring me to Moline. I know Moline quite well, and Tri-Cities, Davenport, Missouri, where they had their plant. So they would bring me on to do stuff in some of their production places. I know that Moline is quite a red district because you find a whole lot of you'd even find people with all the Confederation flags in their houses. And
but how were you treated?
Where is Moline?
Moline is Moline, I think, is in Illinois.
Oh, okay.
So
Thank you.
So for me, I mean, like, I didn't really care. I came from a job that paid well. I came in good hotels and all that, But when I go to pubs, I wasn't feeling it in some of those pubs. Now, I think there was also a farmer I went to see in Alabama. Alabama perhaps was the worst place I went to in the U.S. And it's crazy because it was
Alabama? Racist?
You hate Granville.
No. Hold on. And I thought it was actually a rich farmer who had a farm in the U.S. And me coming there just based on the color, I thought it was going to be a totally different vibe, right? It was one of the worst. I think I felt better working on some certain tractors with some white farmers that I did work for, did stuff for the company in some places, as against this dude. This dude was like, he saw me. I think him seeing me, there was nothing there was no chemistry at all between just me being a black person and him being a black person. I mean, he was a successful person, but the way he treated even black folks working for him, I was like, it was kind of an experience, a sight to behold.
He was a black farmer? You're talking about a black farmer?
Yes, a black farmer, yeah. So,
okay.
It wasn't a white farmer. It was a black farmer who actually owned farm and had some black folks work for him. And even within the black folks too, that worked in that farm, their opinion and the way they actually interacted within themselves, where there was just not very much of any brotherhood at all with the whole relationship.
Yeah.
I just popped in and did what I had to do and just popped out.
Yeah. So do you have any like family members or friends that live in the US or that live in Canada?
I do have cousins that live in the US.
Okay, and they don't ever talk about their experience, because there's this, I mean, the reason for doing the show, because they're Black Americans or African Americans feel like Africans don't like them, and you know, and vice versa. You know, there seems to be this this rift between the two cultures, and that's what we're trying to find out.
Well, there's a whole lot of reason behind the rift. Some are justified, some are also based on the differentiation in values. I mean, you can't expect the two groups to totally, and it all depends on individual. Now, let me tell you something. In Africa, there's no educational program at all that talks about the Black people who left years ago. We only know about the slave history, because I think, to be honest, in West Africa, I think Ghana is at the forefront of slave history, and I think they have curriculums in Ghanaian schools that teach them. In Equatorial Guinea, I think in Equatorial Guinea they have a curriculum as well, because there's that huge Spanish war with blacks, they're trying to fight off the Spanish invaders, and the whole thing around buying black people in Equatorial Guinea. And there's a huge, I think in Angola too, there's something around that too. But when you come to places like Cameroon and Nigeria, there's nothing in the curriculum talks about slavery.
So when you go to school in Africa, they don't teach American history and the slave trade and all that stuff.
No, nobody talks about.
I had an African. Let me jump in real quickly.
Yeah. Go ahead, Kevin.
I had a African associate of mine who basically said that Africans, I guess he was speaking for Africans since he was African. He was saying that Africans believe that African Americans are kind of, how do I put this, not real black people because we're, been mixed with the white blood. Is that true? Do Africans feel that way? I was actually told this by an African guy that because we have white man's blood in us, and if we're African American, we do have white man blood in us. We're not pure,
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, now let me tell you. Now I'm gonna say this because there are in every African country you find people who are a bit nationalist, and this let's not conflate this with Africa precisely, or those living in the continent. You find it across different groups. Okay?
All right, we got 2 minutes. We're gonna wrap this up in 2 minutes, Nanzo.
Okay. So what I'm gonna say is this: you find certain black people who think once you're mixed with any blood, you're not black. In my opinion, that's bullshit, because I've got a son who's half Italian and half black. Okay. When I gave back to this kid, he looked as white as anything. If you see him now, he's as dark as hell. Like, once you've got that black blood in you, it don't matter how pale you look. To me, you're still black. You're African, period. There's something unique. There's something special about the black blood that you just can't take away from being black. Once you don't even matter if you've got 10% of it in you. To me, you're black. Mm-hmm. And you see it. When I relate with every black brother, you see that always in them. There's something that there's that familiarity, something that there's just that swag. You just can't take it away. You can have all the white you want to have in you, but there's something unique about the black race that just makes us special everywhere we find ourselves. In Africa, in the Caribbean, in the US, to me, a black American don't make no difference. I'm not in any way better than them. I see them as just that one. It's just the same people, regardless of where we.
I was asking. I know you can't speak for every African, but I was asking as a whole. Do most Africans feel that way that you know of from friends and associates? Not just you. I know you personally don't feel that way.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you. I do know some people who feel that way, and I know a whole lot of other people who don't feel that way. Gotcha. And again, it's not. I do have Caribbeans too who feel the same way. So you find it in every.
And that's part of the rift, because that was relayed to me by a African buddy of mine, and that's, I think that has a lot to do with the rift that we're talking about right now, is that they don't feel that we're 100% as pure as they are.
But along those lines, though, let me ask you this: for our ancestors, our people in Africa, was there a lot of infiltration by the colonists, impregnation by the colonists in those countries? So aren't there a lot of mixed in that?
There are a lot of mixed. Okay, now I'll tell you one thing.
So they're flawed in saying in saying that then. So are they saying that folks who have mixed in their blood, who are native to the motherland, are not African?
Well, but that's stupid. That's okay. Now I'll tell you one thing. Okay, myself, I was born in Nigeria. My parents, both of them are as dark as hell. I went and did a DNA. It matched both of my parents. Now, guess what? My dad has got East Indian in him. He's got some freaking white. Where the white come from, I don't know. I've got some of that Indian too. I've got the part of the little white. I've got not African. My mom's grandma looks Arab, right? She's probably got all that. What is Africa is pretty much mixed up. Do you know how many kids that the Portuguese people had and just abandoned them on the coast of Africa? The Spaniards, the Brits.
Absolutely.
They gave back to children all over the place, and they never. And some of these kids now, they've over generations, they've intermarried with black folks, and it's all over the place. Do you know how many people that have East Indian heritage living in Africa? They've never left Africa their entire life.
Yeah, but they're from Africa.
Yes, they're African. They were born there. And if you tell them they are not, your mother, you were a son of some prostitute, they are gonna beat the shit out of you.
Yes, that's everybody right now. Though I was in a place where an Irish guy told me, I'm out. He was saying something racist, so I tried to call him on it. So he's telling me, I'm Irish. I'm straight Irish. I'm born in Ireland. My grandmother's from Ireland. My great grandmother's from Ireland. I said, really? I said, well, let's see. Why don't you do a DNA and I'll pay for the test? I don't need to take a DNA. I'm not going to do that. I said, I know you're not, because when you're going to find out, you ain't just Irish. That's the same applies to us. You'd be surprised. There's very few pure. And I think they said there are some people that test straight African or straight, some from one region.
I have a girlfriend. We were talking about doing the DNA testing. Her father, who is from St. Kitts, he got his test done, and it came back with he was 97% Nigerian.
I got Nigerian mostly.
No, but no. I'm talking about the percentage. 97%.
Unusual.
And very little.
Okay. Guess what? I'm Nigerian. I'm not even.
Happen.
In my test, I think I got 46% Nigerian. So you guess there are probably people living in the Caribbean who are more Nigerian than I am.
Right. And because you know why? When they bought the slave ports, when you think about how we moved, right? And when you think about how slavery happened, where they pulled slaves from, guess what? That's why you saw most African Americans, if we do a DNA test, how much you want to bet either Congo, Nigeria, Benin, and Togo will come up if you have any island in your blood.
Yes, but that's they think, and again, this white people
that's just location.
These white people were not stupid, because when you come to the whole of the West Africa, going to the Gulf, where you had the most massive men who could fight, men who could knock you the fuck out in seconds, those were the places you found them. Nigeria, Congo had giants as men who they fought. Like it took the Brits. Most like I could look at most Black Americans, and I could totally tell that they were Nigerians, because they had giants, men who were like built like rock, that you could put in a sheep and starve them for months and they will still make it to wherever you're taking them to. And that was the key thing that the slave traders were going for. They never wanted no weak men who would die of cold or none of that. They wanted men, they wanted price men who could work horses and work. And you'd find Nigeria had a ton of them. Congolese were huge men too, apart from the pygmies who lived in the forest, who never even came out. Most of the pygmies actually came out to mainland after the whole population was depleted, and a lot of them were sold out. You find a lot of them in Angola as well. But Nigeria was like the horde. That's where you found massive looking people, 6 foot something, 7 foot something men who were, and they would fight. It wasn't that you were not going to take them for nothing. They would fight you. They wouldn't even care if you killed them.
All right, we got to wrap this up, Nunzo. Sorry. Really want to thank you for coming on today's show.
Thank you, Nunzo.
We get you last week.
But
go ahead, Tony. You got something else to add?
I just want to add some stuff. I hope we get our points or our thoughts in, because there's a lot said. So one of the things, and I'm with you, Kevin, I just want to address some of the stereotypes. And one was, I heard that one before, but more so I hear the one that, they're lazy, or I hear the one that,
that Black Americans are lazy.
That the African Americans are lazy, or that, they don't want anything. They're not taking advantage of what they got, blah, blah, blah. So those are the ones that I hear the most. And yes, I also hear on the other side that, I've been, at certain places, and I've heard African American children teasing my African brothers and sisters because they're kids or they're teenagers and they're just silly and they don't know what the hell they're talking about. I was teasing an orphanage, and they used to call me, "You look like an African child," and I was like, I am 80%. What do you want to do?
Now, hold up. Now, the same thing you find when you meet a Nigerian back home, the Nigerian leaders are telling Nigerian youths in Nigeria that they are freaking lazy. And then the guys in the community, every African and every other African, you go to the leaders out there telling the people back home, you're lazy. You don't want to do nothing for yourself, right?
Well,
So you find that everywhere. Each group telling when someone is not ready to actually face the realities of bad leadership, then they tell, "Oh, you're lazy. Every freaking person is lazy."
Yes. Well,
it's just bullshit. It's bullshit with the whole thing on. That's what. Go watch go and listen to every African leader. They tell their people, "Oh, you're lazy. You guys don't want to work."
They tell us that here too.
That's what they say.
Mm-hmm.
But now in the US, it's more with white folks saying that. But how do you now think people in Africa who are black folks telling fellow black folks, "You guys are damn lazy. You can't even get a job"? I mean,
well, that's what I want to address. And so this is where I want to get to my point, was that all those stereotypes. And I've heard my island people say it too. Y'all don't want to work and blah blah. I've heard both sides say it. I've heard Black Americans say it to Black Americans. So I mean, it's all over and it's everywhere. But I just want.
You know what it boils down to. I noticed that a lot with. You see a typical Nigerian coming from Nigeria, and he's called the lazy person. The day he comes to the States, he starts mingling with everyone. The day he starts seeing himself as potentially successful, he starts calling the next Nigerian man lazy.
Yes, I've seen it. I think it's a psychosomatic conditioning.
So you see the person, just for the mere fact that he sees himself successful, then he starts calling the next Nigerian man, "Okay, you're probably not doing well, Kevin, because you're not working as hard as I am." Bullshit. That people that are successful has nothing. Yeah, it has nothing to do with the fact how hard you work. A lot of things around success is just grace. You're positioned, you're at the right place at the right time. It don't mean you're working any harder than the other person sitting next door.
Absolutely.
Life is just about opportunities and being lucky. There's an element of luck. There's an element of hard work. There's an element of grace. There's so many things that comes into play. so that you see the next man struggling, you have no freaking idea of the person's story. You know nothing about that person. You don't know.
And you can also sleep with Harvey Weinstein and get a movie deal. And
You
complain about it 30 years later from your mansion.
Yes.
As we move into our next segment.
All right.
Darn it, we didn't get to say anything about that segment. I'm not done. Anybody else? Can we say something about it?
Which one? Question.
What we're talking about.
Go ahead.
I question. If when he was living in Europe, were the Black Americans, were the African people, were the Black Caribbean, were they living in unity together when you were in Europe?
Trust me, in Europe, I think Europe was perhaps the only place I saw the most united the Black people were. So in Europe, it don't matter where you come from. I had friends from everywhere. I had Black Americans. I had Jamaicans. I knew people from Jamaica. Like, whoa, they'd be like, geez, you look like someone. Like, I know 3, 4, 5 people that look just like you. I knew Caribbean folks from St. Kitts and all. Said, geez, if you were to go down to, say, St. Kitts today, nobody would ever know. The only way they potentially would know is perhaps from your accent, or they would know that you're definitely not from there because of the patois and maybe difference in the way they spoke. But when it comes to looks, nobody would ever know you were not even born there, just based out of skin color or stuff like that.
Can I tell you one of the reasons why is because when I lived in Europe, okay, it appeared to me that's the one thing I love doing is I would go eat the African food and hang out with some of the Africans sometimes because I did notice that they were together and there was no like, oh, you're this and you're that. And the reason why, from what I saw, they are racist as heck, especially when I was in Paris. The things I saw made my head spin. When I was in Italy, my head spin. Literally, I was on a line to do the not American Express. What do you call it when you the Western Union? And we had to go up to some mountain. I don't know what it was, somewhere in Italy, and to go get to this one place that they had in all of where we was at. And so I was like the last. There was a bunch of Africans waiting waiting for the exchange. And I was like, why aren't they going? So the lady's like, you come here. She knew I was American, I guess. I don't know. And so I go up to the thing. I said, no. I said, he's next. Oh, we don't care about them. Just come. Because I was African American, she wanted to word on me. And I said to the guy, I said, tu parles English. I asked him, did he speak English? And he's like, they don't like us here. And I said, wait a minute, let me get this right. You guys are all waiting. You're going to me? She said, yes. I was so horrified that I was like, I'm never coming back to this, but I just won't have no money. I mean, whatever I got to do.
But not, because Europe is huge on passport.
Gotta wrap this up.
Europe is okay. Sorry.
Well,
all right, go ahead. Finish your point.
I just want one point.
Go ahead.
Here's the thing of why that community is together. The values. Because of this discrimination that they're going to get from Europe, right? They know that they have a certain, just like when they come to America, they know that they have a certain motive and a certain how do you say it? It's a certain motive that they come with. They come with a dream in mind, a thought and a purpose in mind. So with that being said, if you know that everybody over there is against you, you better let's get this all together tight and let's make sure we don't have no problems. So that's one. And they say when they come here too, like, oh, we have different values. And but here's the thing about the values is what it is yes, you're right. If I come here with 5 cents off a plane, a boat, train, doesn't matter. That's true that I'm coming with the mind, like I'm going to go there. I'm going to save some money. I'm going to go to college and then I'm going to go home and build my mansion or house or whatever. Right. That's a whole different motive than African Americans who are already here. Right. Our ancestors were dragged here. Remember, our pretense is now way different. And this is no blame on each side, but I'm just saying how I see it. So when we come, when we're here already and we've got the history, right, of what destroyed us, We already know that, and we're sitting in it now with rights still being violated as we speak, right? We have, yes, to someone else, an outsider, they're like, well, you have rights at least, and you can make $5, you can make $20, you have all those things. That's true, but you got to understand that because we were raised on having rights, and all of our ancestors died to have those rights, we fight harder for them. So we don't need anybody accusing us of being too haughty-taughty and thinking that we're, what's the word that someone said to me once? Oh, you guys always, you don't know how to take advantage of what you have, and, just downplaying us a lot. Not everybody, but just some people were downplaying us and crapping on us, I call it. But what we both need to do is listen, because I have to understand that, yeah, Pam, I'm making this up, Pam, but if you came here, yeah, she came here, her family struggled, and, they made $5 million out of 5 cents. That's true. But she has to understand that I've been here, and I still can't get those same privileges that she got, like the bank loans and whatever else may go on. Because she's an outsider, they'll help her before they help me, which is crazy, but that happens. So we both have to have
we can't blame each other for these things. We got to blame this.
I want to wrap this up. Let's wrap this up. Okay. Right. Let's, Nunzo, thank you so much for coming on. We hope to have you back. Anybody else have anything to add before we let Nunzo go?
I'll just say this real quick. I am really heartbroken that we still have to have this conversation about the divisiveness that we share. We are all, no matter what anyone says, when a police officer is pulling you over, he ain't looking to see if you're West Indian, African, or otherwise. He sees the skin. Yes. And it's very sad that we have that this still goes on. I mean, clearly it's a topic that we still have to cover, but I think it's just important to focus on the similarities as opposed to the differences. And because the bottom line is we're in the same pot, whether we're on the top part of it or sticking down on the bottom, we're still in it.
Yeah, so one thing I would want to say is this. Now, just so that everybody's in the clear, there's never going to be a one-shot solution to the whole colors difference thing. It's always going to be there. It's just something that we all as individuals would have to prepare our minds for, and over time gradually orientate ourselves in a form that actually helps us blend together as a group. As far as I'm concerned, Black folks are the same. It don't matter how you want to see yourself. That's the truth. But if you're hoping for a solution, potentially there will never be one, but it will be something that we individually would have to kind of work on ourselves to be better people. That's all.
All right.
Just one more thing.
Go ahead, Tanya.
One more thing. I'm sorry. I had to do this. So okay, here's an example of what that's very confusing. So Steve Harvey won some grant that's supposed to be for Africans to build their village and blah, blah, blah. And Baswata, I believe that's where it's at. And so they're mad at him for buying it, right? So there's two sides to that story. Yes, they can be mad because it's supposed to be for Baswantis or whatever part it's from. It's supposed to be for them. Yes, but thank you. I'm sorry. Forgive me for jacking the name. It's supposed to be for them. So all those hardworking people who came up with great ideas, now they lose the grant, right? To some guy. So they're saying, well, he's not African, blah, 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 blah. So here's the thing. African Americans often get caught dead in the middle because when we think that, you know what? We figured out how we're going to get Africa. Well, Africa's already on track to me, but you know what I'm saying, in the round of things, how everybody tries to crap on her and call her the crap hole country. You know what, Trump and all of them made all that stuff up, which is a lie. So we're trying to say, okay, why don't we buy black? Why don't we do this? Why don't we reinvest in Africa? So here's a guy who goes and invests in Africa. And I'm not sure I believe the bus that particular region should be able to do whatever they feel is right for them. So that's not my argument. It's just that we get caught in the middle because we're African American That now, if I say I'm going to go buy land in Africa, I'm going to go live in Africa, except for like us who will take us back, but other people may not. Now we're caught that like, oh, you can't be coming over here, blah, 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 because what about us and blah, 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 which is fine. But like, which one do you want? Are we trying to help as one accord or we're not? That's where I get confused. There's a mix up going on, and that's very confusing. That's all.
All right. Well, Nanzo, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you.
We hope to have you back soon.
Yes,
thank you, Nanzo. Wayne, thanks for bringing Nanzo to us. Nanzo, hope you have a great day. Have a good weekend, my friend.
Yeah, you guys take care. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
All right,
Nanzo.
Yeah.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
All right, now we're going to talk. Bill Cosby got out of prison. What Wednesday was it?
Yeah, Wednesday or Thursday.
Damn, you don't seem happy.
Me?
You go, yeah. Is it a yay or nay on Bill Cosby's being released? Are we going yay? Like O.J. Simpson getting found out?
I think it's kind of along the O.J. Simpson kind of thing, you know.
Black people are like, yay. And the white people are like, this is a travesty.
Yeah, but you know, I think it, you know, yay.
All right, let me show a couple of videos first. Before, couple of.
Okay.
So they're down to fuck. Then they go back 30 years later and say, he raped me.
30 years. I don't understand that.
I mean,
that's like a motherfucker robbing me. And then I wait 30 years to call the police. I got robbed.
30 years ago.
In 1984.
Right.
I'm with Eddie different. I'm with Eddie.
I'm with Eddie too on that one. This particular.
Me too. I'm with Eddie.
Yes, it is. Has been overturned, and he will leave. Yes, it is. Today, we are told. Bill Cosby, convicted of aggravated indecent assault and serving a 3 to 10
Now, y'all gonna get this man his stuff back?
Back. This one I found.
I want to go back to the circumstances of your interview because I have to say it sounds surreal to me. Not only were you allowed inside the house, but then you're told, Jerika, come on upstairs to the bedroom. What was that like for you? What were you thinking in that moment?
I think, Gail, surreal is the best word to use. Oftentimes, you know, as a reporter, you're out here trying to get the story. On a day like this, we all know that people wanted to hear from Bill Cosby, even though he did come out earlier and it was sort of a display of he's fine, he's well, he's excited. He didn't say anything. And my question to his publicist was, is there any way we could talk to him? So I think it just started with that question. And then, as you know, I've been covering this story for the last 5 or 6 years. I looked back at some footage. One of the first stories we did was in 2014. Of course, the charges came in 2015, the trial in 2017, the conviction in 2018. So there's a history there of communicating with people on all sides of this story. And I think just simply asking, is there any possibility of getting a conversation or getting a better sense of what he's doing and how he's doing? And it just so happened that yesterday was the day and we were able to go inside. But I think, as you put it at the top, surreal, bizarre, when you think about this is the very place where Andrea Constance said a crime was committed, and we were in that home. There were even pictures during the trial, I remember, of seeing the kitchen, and it was starting to make sense as I'm in the kitchen standing there. 2 of his assistants were in the kitchen at the time as I waited to find out if we were going to have a chance to have a quick conversation with Bill Cosby.
Oh. I had one more. Give me. I hope this is it. Is this it?
Yes, it is. Has been overturned, and he will leave.
Yes, it is.
Today, we are told. Bill Cosby, convicted of aggravated indecent.
Okay. I can't find. This is. All right, let's get into it. Bill Cosby is out of prison. Quick survey. Are we happy? Yay or nay?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm giving it a thumbs up. I'm giving it a thumbs up.
Because
Wayne,
I'm giving it 2 thumbs up.
yes.
Wayne, thumbs up. Pam, you giving it a thumbs up?
I give it a
Pam's
I give it a thumbs up.
I give it thumbs up based on evidence that was thrown out that nobody ever heard of until now.
Now,
so Pam, you saying you wouldn't have a drink with Bill?
If I'm pouring, if I'm pouring, we can have a drink.
Are we? I know. There's a black-white side to this that we're gonna take here.
It's not even black and white side. It's just evidence and no evidence.
I think there's a legal side and not a legal side.
We're saying that there's white people that did stuff and they weren't treated as bad as Bill Cosby, right? I think that's.
Well, that's gonna go into
This is the United States of America. There's always.
So are we saying, Pam? I'm gonna come to you first. Are we saying that we should? If white people get a pass, black people should get a pass. We all should get a pass, or we all should be locked up equally. Do you want Bill Cosby to get the same treatment as white people who did similar things, or are we saying lock everybody up? Do you understand what I'm saying? Like,
I will say this: I think in a perfect world, everyone should be treated equally. If one gets locked up, they all get. I get it.
Right.
If everything is equal. However, I think like OJ, I think people know that there were some things that went on that should not have been done. I don't think that. Do you go back 30 years? No, but I think that the reality of it is. The reason he is out today has nothing to do with his guilt or not. It had to do with the process and the fact that something that they did was wrong. They promised him one thing and then they took it back. That's the reason they said he was out. Whether there's other evidence or not, that's fine, but that is not the reason why he is out. He is out because the former prosecutor at first told him, oh no, we just want to talk to you, blah, blah, blah. And now they realize, I don't know why they allowed the case to go forward when they knew that this was there in the first place. But that is the reason he's out. Do I believe that out of those women that there are some that he probably did this to? Yeah, but I think what it shows you, like what OJ showed, is that if you have enough money to put behind these legal minds, you can beat the system the way other folks have been able to beat the system. And that's the way it is.
But did Bill Cosby go to prison, Kevin, because he's a black man, or did he go to prison because he raped?
First, let me say there are millionaires who have died in prison. The guy who can't think of his name right now. The music producer who shot the model chick in his house.
Scepter died?
Yeah.
Oh, he did?
Yeah. He passed away in prison.
But Madoff died in prison too.
Madoff died in prison. I think Weinstein is going to die in prison also. Weinstein's not going to get out like Bill Cosby. I think his goose is cooked also.
Yeah,
I don't think Weinstein's getting out of jail on any technicality. I think he's finished. And then of course the other guy is died in prison, apparent suicide. But anyway, so rich people go to jail and die in prison. So Bill Cosby went to jail because he was black. Yeah, I'm going to say that. I'm not going to bite my tongue, and I don't believe he did it. I think he had wild sex. I think he had wild sex with women. I think he did drugs with women.
Do you remember? Are you old enough to remember in the 70s and 80s how Quaaludes used to be the party drug?
That's why we don't think he raped anybody.
I do remember that Quaaludes was that's what I'm saying, though, folks. That's what I'm saying to the panel here and our guests watching the show. That he is guilty of crazy, wild Hollywood stardom parties. I guess if you probably there's probably a lot of celebrities who rock stars.
You have there?
Huh? I'm just
You
saying,
have
lots of rock stars
little girls in his mansion.
famous celebrities that had crazy sex parties and
Yep, all the
involved
time.
with lots of drugs and all sorts of stuff going on, you know. So is he guilty of that? You know, yes. From what I heard and what evidence shows, we want to talk about evidence real quickly. The lady who he went to jail that said he raped her.
Yep, she
actually called Bill Cosby several times to see him after the apparent rape.
Andrea Constable.
Yes.
So,
so
and
I
she
don't know.
said she lied.
Excuse me for being blunt. Was the dick that good? I mean, he had to call after rape.
But in all fairness, in all fairness, you were just talking about Tani. You were just talking about when we were talking about Woody Allen and the son. There is some psychological stuff that can happen to people when they have been abused, where they still interact closely with their abuser.
That's what I was telling you. That's what I was telling you.
That's Stockholm syndrome.
Put it to this situation as well. So just because she called him and they had this thing does not mean. I'm not saying that it happened or it didn't. I'm saying that you can't just discount it because she continued talking to him.
Let me tell you something. Real quickly. I probably can't walk through my neighborhood right now and pissing 60 yards about a police car being called. All right. So we're led to believe that in the United States of America, which Naso was his name. I wanted to tell him before he left, but he already gone. That America is the racist place on the fucking planet. All right. Yeah. So there's no other place more racist than America. So excuse my language again, but yeah, America is the winner of racism.
Top notch.
So I don't care where he lived at or where anybody lives at. No place is more racist than this place.
But he was saying Netherlands.
That's what he said. That's what he said, though.
He agreed with you.
That's what he said.
Okay. Well, good. We agree. So, all right. So, so we're led to believe that in the most racist place on the planet, that a black man, I don't care how much money he has in his bank account, was able to rape 50, 60 women.
61.
Mostly 99% white women, by the way. And nobody said shit.
Right.
I have a hard time swallowing that in this country. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Yeah.
In this country, 60, let's say 55 white women were raped by a black man, and nobody for 30 years said, hey, I'm going to call the police. I'm going to call a detective. I'm going to go to the news. I'm going to, I can get money for this if I go to CNN or to Fox or to anything.
Yes.
This guy's worth, almost $1 billion. I'm going to get paid for this.
But remember, if he's worth $1 billion, that means.
Remember when talk shows were hot? I could have went to Oprah. I could have went to Donahue. I could have went on anybody's show and said Bill Cosby, and I got protection because now I'm on national television. I mean, none of this happened.
But Kevin, and I might be wrong because I'm not in the industry. But from what I understand about the industry is, if you are the goose who's laying the golden egg, you can be untouchable, because if he made $1 billion, that means that the industry made gazillions on him. And and those people are people in power who know people in power and who would squash stories. Because I understand on the underground, people were talking about it. But anyone who is in power, the other thing is, when you go to a store, when you go to these news outlets and stuff, they have to worry about liability. And if they cannot prove a certain thing, they are not going to run that story, especially on someone who is powerful.
Hey, Pam.
There's a lot of levels where this comes in.
We assassinate our presidents here.
I'm trying to hold.
I'm sorry, I don't hear you.
I'm sorry. I'm just saying we assassinate our presidents in this country.
No, absolutely, because someone allows it, right?
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, but
I can't say. I wouldn't say that because it's been 30 years and no one, and he never was publicly laid on the carpet for it. I wouldn't say that really proves his innocence. I think what it proves is that a lot of times, if you are that person, just like how with Michael, you can go with Michael, you can go with even Epstein.
No, we can talk about Michael.
I think what the thing was with Bill was, because even though this initially started years before, was the moment that it happened in. And everybody was on the Me Too thing. And they're like, oh, now we have a public who is more willing.
But Pat,
Can I say this real quickly? Let's
go ahead,
Michael Jackson. Since you brought up Michael Jackson, it is now coming out that those kids lied on Michael Jackson, that the parents put these kids up to line on Michael Jackson. Like Michael Jackson career, his sanity, his health, his image, all was ruined by the lies of these little white kids. You know, it was a lie.
And I'm not talking about innocence or guilt, though. I'm talking about what the momentum that brought it out into the forefront, that allowed him to be on trial, to allow that information to be out. Right.
But if you're going back,
see that runs on a lot of levels, though. See, because everybody's talking about.
Hold on. We got like 4 people talking. All right, go ahead, Tanya. Then
I'd like to get a chance to say something.
I know. I'm sorry. Because I was just addressing, it's hard when you got to address someone right then so you won't forget. So I apologize. It was just to address Pam. So I have an odd take on the whole thing. I believe that he did give all those women drugs. Yes. But I believe they also knew they were taking drugs and they took the drugs. So that's just my personal belief. But it's all irrelevant, because the most important thing, like one of the judges said, is the fact that his rights was violated. And they lied. That's the other piece. But the most important part is, in America, allegedly, you are innocent until proven guilty. It is on the victim, unfortunately, I do not agree with that, to prove the burden that someone did something. You didn't even get to a court to prove anything. So as far as we're supposed to really be, he didn't do it, because there's no evidence showing that he did. But what I will say is this: he talked about it in his text that he drugged women. So I believe that he gave it, but I also believe that, like Janet Dickinson said and Johnson said, yeah, I knew I was taking drugs. I mean, what do you want me to do? I was just gonna have a party, get a good time, and get some. One lady said, I wanted to be famous, and I knew he could help me. Those are things that makes it like, oh, girl, you're making it hard for us out here in these streets. So that's where the real problem lies. And I'm not even going to judge him anymore, because I can't, because they did it all wrong. So until we get back to a court, I can't even, what am I going to say? All I can say is, I believe he went down because he was trying to buy that station. And they was like, oh, no, you're not Negro, not today. Oh, no. Because he had
powers that be allowed him to go. That's my point.
That's not saying it's not his fault for being in the arena of getting in trouble.
Absolutely.
You're silly if you have that kind of money and power, and then you go put yourself in a situation.
Listen, if you are living, you're in that arena. People make split decisions. They go with the flow. They think they're untouchable for whatever reason. They're untouchable until somebody says, okay, go ahead and touch.
Yes. But also the flip side of that life during that time, you guys, this happened, what they were saying in the 80s, 70s, whatever year it was, during the Quaalude time, whatever. I know as a former model that there was plenty of predicaments that I was put in to, like, okay, you meet me in my room at 7 o'clock, or let's go to the hotel, or let's go to my house. I don't do none of that. That's why you never heard of me, because I don't do that. That's not what I do. So
you make a choice.
And these women, they're not kids. Now, if they were kids, I'd say, oh, I believe them 100%. Let's go. But there are grown women who waited 30 years. I have a hard time with that. Not saying it's not true or is true. It's just I have a hard time with you telling me that you knew you were taking a drug, but then you knew you were going to have to do something to get that fame, but then now it's rape. I'm going to have a problem with that. And because now men, while I do believe that it is a man industry and they're running it, and that's why you got all the monsters like Weinstein who run so long with it, because everybody's like, I ain't saying nothing. Listen, I got my job. I'm good. There's also the other side that we have, anybody who's a victim, an old victim, you can't put yourself in a situation and now come back to the pickle and say, whoa, oh yeah, I did go to the hotel room. Yeah, I did go up at 2 o'clock in the morning. Why are you in somebody's room 2 o'clock in the morning? That's just me. That's not saying you deserve anything, but I'm saying it makes it hard for me to say, oh, that's all. That's all I'm saying.
I will say, back in the day, I've been in hotel rooms at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And guess what?
What?
If it didn't want nothing to go down, it wasn't coming down.
Oh, well, that's me
You
too.
know, so I don't think that that's necessarily, you know, the time. Because look, you can get raped in broad daylight.
All right, let me go to preach.
Yeah.
Before I go to preach, Pam, you mentioned that Bill Cosby was the cash cow, but back in the 60s and 70s, he wasn't no money making machine for.
Oh yes, he was.
He
was. Okay, can I chime in on this a little bit?
Yes,
Just somehow get in here. Just a little. All right. So the first accusation came from someone that said it did it in the 70s. In the 70s, we all know, you know, Quaaludes was a big date drug and stuff. I don't think Bill was doing anything that everybody else wasn't doing, except for one thing. He was a black man doing it. See, and they just took that and put it in the safe and held on to that for when they needed it. As Tanya said, when he tried to buy that station, I mean, he was great up until then. Then he wanted to buy a station. See, the one mistake he made there, he should have did it Byron Allen. Byron Allen has been buying up shit left and right. And nobody knows about it. It's like you wake up and you go, Byron Allen bought CNN. It's like, he did what? I didn't even hear about that. Because he doesn't announce it. He doesn't broadcast it. He doesn't give him a chance to block him. Now, do I think Cosby did it? I don't think he did anything that anybody else wasn't doing. I think he was partying. I think him and his wife worked out some stuff because he was, you know, dipping outside of the marriage. I believe that happened. But I don't think he was ever trying to take advantage of somebody the same way Kevin said that, you know, the parents train their kids to lie against Michael so they can get paid, because a lot of those cases were settled out of court. You know, like, here, we'll write you a check if you shut up, and they take the check and run, or you send your kid to his ranch knowing that supposedly these things are going on, but you send your kid there anyway. Why would you do that if you're a caring parent? See, you don't. See, so it's all about the money. But when they say, what do they say? Follow the money. Mm-hmm. Follow the money. They follow the money with Michael. You follow the money with Bill, and you see what the deposition that he gave was during a civil suit. Someone was suing him for money, and he had a lot of payouts for money to people, you know, because, oh, you said you're accusing me of this. It's like, here, take this check and be on your way. And after they got paid, now, did they run out of money? Did something happen? Did they spend it all? And they say, oh, damn, I got to go back. I need something more. And then the industry comes to them and go, hey, you can help us out and we'll help you out. Okay. And then all of a sudden he gets brought up on charges by releasing testimony that he gave under both of them were under oath. See, they put you under oath, but the DA is also under a trust agreement. He's giving them an agreement like, look, if you tell us what happened so we can solve this civil suit, we're not going to use it. It's sealed. To unseal it and then use your own statement against you is violating his Fifth Amendment right. So on that alone, that's why it gets thrown out. Okay, so it's not about right or wrong. Like, the government violated its own rules. See, you can't do that.
Should never have been because of that.
Here's my point. Back in the 60s and 70s, Bill Cosby was in the money-making machine, whereas he couldn't be taken down. He was making some money, but he wasn't making nowhere near the billions.
But he was one of those golden black people. He was.
Not enough. No, I don't think he was that big where they were afraid to take him down.
No, it wasn't about afraid to.
But
No.
Hold on a second. Back then, he was just what he was doing, a comedy. You know what I mean? What he had, I Spy, you know, the TV show. So to me, he wasn't big enough, but he was making so much money for Hollywood that they all, you know, we can't touch Bill because he's made.
You're right, Carl. Because it went to the Cosby Show. They went to another stratosphere.
Right. Yeah.
But wait a minute. You got to remember though, in those times there weren't very many chosen black entertainers.
Right.
And he was one. He was one. And remember, back then, you got to remember the times back then too. They didn't give a hoot about what women were being screwed with who. They didn't care. That's why I said nowadays with the whole Me Too thing is when they had the huge momentum on women standing up and saying, I will not take this. But back then you got raped. Look at the what's it they call the casting couch. You got raped to get in that business.
Yes.
That was just
even sending their children like Roman Polanski.
The environment that he was in at that time, yes, he may have been doing those things and nobody was going to call him on it per se. And the women themselves may not have felt as though they had a voice or a standing to do so and not ruin what a little bit of a career they were trying to get. So I get why they wanted to talk about it now. I don't know if necessarily I don't believe that they're all being truthful about all that went on with it. The fact that it was just okay, well, give me a pill.
So Pamela, let me tell you about the industry real quickly. First
Yeah.
of all, Bill Cosby is a married man, right?
Yep.
And he had to have sex with his wife sometimes.
Mhm.
Now we're saying he raped 60 women. And that don't even include the thousands of groupies he had to bang because, the guy's been a celebrity since the 60s. You know what I'm saying? That's a lot to go around for a man. I'm just saying, if you think about it, like, so he's hitting his wife,
yeah,
he's hitting the groupies,
yeah,
and he's drugging women at the same time.
And
that's not true.
Look, I have heard that there's some men who will take anything that flies by their face.
Yep.
I understand that.
And just because he was doing, wasn't like he was, it doesn't necessarily mean that he was having, marathon sessions with each one of them now. So, I don't think it's not unreasonable to think that it could have happened. I just believe that a lot of them are for whatever reason feeling as though they were used at, looking back.
Well,
there's
that's
some
what
things
the problem was.
looking back, but do I hold that person accountable when I, at that time in that space, I agreed to doing something that maybe I might have felt a little uncomfortable about, but I said, but okay.
I mean,
can't do that.
That's the problem. They thought he was going to leave his wife and be with them, and they thought they would get paid.
Or at least excel their career.
They didn't get the fame, or they didn't get the hey, we want to do this every night. Then they were like, what? Wait, how you going to do this to me? How you going to play me like this? And now it's like, well, I'm going to sue you for rape because something's wrong with this picture, no matter how you cut it. But it's okay. Either way.
I mean, I think he's a victim of Karens. That's all I think.
Of Karens?
Yep.
I think everybody was doing it in Hollywood. Everybody's giving preludes to women and these wild.
They said they knew that.
Here's the key, though. Of all of those women, and even the ones that probably have not come forward, could there have been one or two where he just figured they wanted a party, so he just put in the drink and said, "Let the good times roll"?
Nah, I don't think so. I don't think. Let me tell you one
line across.
But what about the other hundreds or thousands of men who were doing the same thing? The only
absolutely.
Hold on a second. The only difference.
Do you know how many people? Do you know how many rapists there are in the United States?
The only difference.
How many of them are convicted? How many of them come to trial? It does not mean that just because you have not been presented to a court that you are not a rapist. If you
you're calling him a rapist, and he was not.
I'm not calling Bill Cosby a racist. I'm saying in general, what you're saying is because it's so many it happened to doesn't necessarily mean that just because you have not been convicted of a crime, the point is that have you done the crime? We don't know that. We don't know what his intent was. We don't know what transpired in those rooms.
Here's what I'm saying. Here's what I'm saying, Pam. There's hundreds of, probably thousands of men who were doing the exact same thing. Doing, drugging women, having sex with them. The difference here is Bill Cosby became super famous. A lot of those men now are probably plumbers or working at Walmart. You know what I mean? So those women are not going to go after those men because they can't get anything from those men. But you think Bill Cosby is the #1 rapist in Hollywood?
No.
If 60 women came forward for Bill Cosby, I guarantee there's a guy out there that 120 women can come forward for.
Absolutely.
They already arrested him. That was Howard Weinstein.
So,
there's probably someone who's done it to 400 women.
Those men are not famous.
It is a predatory.
They have no money. They don't have Bill Cosby money.
But listen,
here's the problem that I have. Thursday, not Thursday, but the prosecutors, they waited until last week of when the article was done to tell them about an interview that they did last year with the former Temple University colleague who said Andrea Considine told her that she wasn't sexually assaulted but could make up the allegations to get money. I got a problem with that. Just saying. I'm just saying.
And let's look at it from another point of view. Let's just say that 40% of white women in America, 40% voted Donald Trump into office.
Oh.
That's after 26 women came out against his ass saying that he raped them. So there's this fake outrage, or actually real outrage about Bill Cosby, when 40% of white women in America elected a president that had the same accusations against him. You know?
Yep.
That's my problem with this country.
And at least one of them was a juvenile.
Exactly. So here we go. So we got a guy that had 26 allegations against him for sexual assault, and 40% of white women in America go, we don't care. We want him to be our president. We're not going to pick Hillary. I mean, they chose him over another white woman. You know, so
right.
So
a lot of them because of their husbands, because that's what their husbands
around
think.
this time that all this was happening, wasn't this the time when Sidney Poitier and other black actors could not kiss or even touch white women on
television? Yes, in the early 70s. Yes.
So I mean, and Bill Cosby's doing all of this, and none of them said anything, and none of these women said anything.
Oh, wait a minute, but black men were screwing white women in Hollywood all the time. Look at Sammy Davis Jr., Harry Belafonte. They were all with white women. At some point. So let's not, the illusion that the camera wants them, wants to.
But I'm saying, if you have it where a black man cannot interact with a white woman sexually on screen, and then these women are saying that they were raped, I'm sure at least one of them out of 60 something, or out of what would have gone far in this black, but they were hoping to get something out. Like Tanya said, they were hoping to get something out of it.
If Raquel Welch come forward and said,
let's quote DMX, what these bitches want from a nigga, right? You blaze me. I blaze you, you blaze me. That's it. That's all. It was that for Bill. But
I'm only going by the testimony of those women. That's why I'm saying what I'm saying, not by anything else or anyone else. I'm only going by what they said out of their mouth from the interviews that I saw.
Maybe if a Raquel Welch had come forward at the time and accused him of rape, okay, maybe. But none of these women, very few of these.
Raquel Welch gave it up for free.
Huh?
I'm just kidding.
Who gave it up for free?
She probably gave it to Bill Cosby for free. I'm just joking.
See, one of the things that people forget is that in this country, the systemic racism goes across all things. Now, people forget there was the black codes. Remember the black codes? Yep. Remember the slave codes that were written? Well, it plays out the same way. In New York, in like the 1700s, if a white man did something and he got disorderly conduct for it, a black man could lose his life over that. Well, that same disparity carried itself through. Why did Roman Polanski, who raped a 12-year-old, fled the country, and then 25 years later they give an Oscar to? Okay, they give him an Oscar. I mean, you would think they say, hey, you know what? Yeah, we know you did it. We know you fled the country. You know you're on the run. Guess what? You get nothing from us. No Oscars, no Emmys. You're not getting nothing. You're not getting jack. I don't care if you're still directing movies, but no, they give him an Oscar, the highest form of acclaim.
They just
exactly. That's why I said before, follow the money. He's still making them tons of money, so they're like, yeah, we're gonna give you the accolade. We don't care. Oh, she's probably of age now. Yeah, it's like hello. Yes. But then someone like Cosby, who's trying to make moves, who's trying to better the community around him, forgetting that he's paying for kids to go to school. He's paid out of his pocket, like all these kids, free tuition for college. He's trying to improve the situation of people around him. They don't want that.
Who was a serial killer that used to sell his paintings? What was that guy's name? Was it John
Wayne Gacy?
He used to sell his paintings, right? People should pay money for his paintings and stuff. He's a serial killer.
Look, Zimmerman still being able to make a living.
Didn't white people line up in signs and picket Barnes and Noble when O.J. Simpson's book came out? They had to take it off the shelves. You see what I'm saying? There's always a double standard with us, man.
Yeah.
Always a double standard.
The Helter Skelter guy sold paintings.
Marilyn Manson.
Charles Manson. He does.
Excuse me, Marilyn Manson has some sex charges coming up on his behind now.
Yes, I saw it.
Did you guys know this? That they're saying that Cosby, the guy who got him off is Bruce Castor, Trump's second impeachment defense attorney. You heard about that?
No.
That's who got him off. So everybody's on Twitter like, what? Wait a minute, what's the connection here? So I was like, I don't know, but I know Cosby's a lucky man. He better not do like OJ and just shut up and keep it moving.
Keep it moving.
Keep it moving.
I don't think he is, though. You know why? Because of his age. I think he has a chip on his
He's
shoulder.
going down because I think isn't he blind now?
I don't think he's blind.
He was going blind when he went in the gym.
Blind to yeah.
You know what though? If he feels he's innocent, and obviously he does because he took none of those classes that they offered him in prison.
And he couldn't get parole because of it, because he wouldn't. Yeah,
exactly. So he had his mind made up to do his 10 years, or he would die in prison. So he either stubborn as hell, or he believes that he did nothing wrong. So if he believes that he did nothing wrong, then right now he's probably on revenge time. And if he has as much power as Pamela thinks he has, then he still has that power. And
no. What I was saying is the powers above him are the one. I wasn't saying about him having the power, because yes, okay, he had some power, but I don't think he had enough power to squash everything. But like I said, if he made $1 billion, that means that there are other people, the industry made multiple.
Bill Cosby only started making that type of money was, as Carl Yard was saying, Bill Cosby's pocketbook
from the Cosby Show.
During the Cosby Show, not before then. Before then, he was just another black comedian.
Right, but before then,
Eddie Murphy had more movie success than Bill Cosby.
Yes,
you know.
Yes, but they had the Uptown Saturday Night and all that stuff. But my point is though,
by the way,
before that time, before he had that kind of Cosby money and going forward, the general societal thing was not about getting people. Every bad boy basically was a slap on the wrist. That was still in the times where your boss could come by and brush by you or pinch you on the butt, and you couldn't do anything about it.
Those days are over? Damn.
Yeah, baby.
Well, it depends on how much you're paying them.
Hey, I'm a professional comedian. I don't make halfway any of the money or have the celebrity or fame as anybody that we may be discussing on this show. And I still do things in the comedy clubs and get away with it. And so, power is power. Celebrity, I understand what you're saying.
But willing to back you up, to back them up on a claim that they make.
I don't think I can name a black man in America who would be protected. Who would like America would protect.
I'm with you on that, Carl. I have no idea who.
You know what I mean?
You mean black or black heart?
I got to push back on that.
Yeah, like you said, they were protecting Bill Cosby because he was making all. It doesn't matter. I don't care.
No. I think that what you're missing, what I'm trying to say is this.
You were saying he was so.
I'm saying in the 70s, in the 80s, and maybe in the 60s, if he did what he did and folks complained about it, it would have been, come on, Bill, don't do that anymore, man. It would have been this kind of pat on the wrist. It wouldn't be because of the mentality.
Not if white women. Not if white woman came forward and said Bill Cosby touched.
Right, that a black man touched him in the 60s.
You brought up Raquel Welch, by the way. You brought up Raquel Welch. Jim Brown's had a budding moving career that was basically ended because of a so-called relationship with her. He apparently hit that. Let's be blunt, okay?
Yeah.
And Hollywood wasn't having none of it.
And didn't Sammy Davis Jr. lose an eye because he was dating a white woman?
It was an accident. But he was dating a few.
They say it was an accident. They say it was an accident. But it's come out that it came out in his autobiography that the mob did not like, because the woman he was dating was related to somebody who was related to somebody in the mob. And they were like, we ain't having this. and as a warning, they took his eye, and then the publicist arranged the accidents to say, "Oh yeah, this is what happened during the accident."
Well, Preacher, I'm an expert on this because I'm a big Sammy fan and a Rat Pack fan. I've done my research. He actually he had sex with a mob boss's girlfriend, and they were going to kill him. And
Frank stepped in.
Sinatra stepped in and said, "Please don't kill him." And Frank had a lot of influence with the mob, so they said, "We got to do something." So that's what happened to the eye.
Okay.
And they arranged the accident sort of thing in the desert, so it can look like he lost his eye in an accident. But apparently, the mob guy wanted to kill him, but
it didn't stop him from dating white women, though.
Begged the mob guy not to do it.
Well, they only look half as good to him, though.
Sorry.
I said they only look half as good to him, though.
I see your point.
I
got a Sammy joke too. Y'all want to see my Sammy joke?
Oh God.
Boing boing.
Sorry, that's magician guys. Always
I mean, I can't even think of a black person in America who would be protected. I can't.
Excuse me. You just heard of a situation where a Black American was protected, right? Whoa. Sammy and Frank. My point is, what? Yeah, he lost his life, though. My point is that they are people who may step up.
I think Frank Sinatra and Sammy were like brothers, though. They had a love
for each
other. So I think that was more not protecting Sammy because he makes me money. Because Frank didn't need Sammy to make him no money.
He didn't need no money. He was a good guy. They had a good relationship.
No, but he opened up some doors for him.
That was about love, Pamela. That wasn't about money.
No, but I'm not saying, but love, money, whatever. My point is that if you are in a position where there are people who are on the higher rung, whatever that may be, of you, who are there to protect you, whether it's financial or otherwise.
White women that was protected by the.
Look at Look at the women who were coming forward. Come on now, they were not the A-listers that were coming forward at that time. You don't know at that time. I'm talking about 80s backward, right?
Well,
so you have to look at
came forward anyway.
Well, here's the thing about
that. A-listers came forward anyway.
Right.
I mean, Belly Johnson's not an A-lister. I mean, nobody.
No, but
we're talking the most famous person that came forward.
No, actually,
you're talking about now. I'm talking about whoever would have come forward in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. That's what I'm saying. Now, yes, people will come forward because they feel empowered. They feel as though that someone will listen to them. Back then, society wasn't about to be really going there unless, it was to their benefit. That's my perception of it.
My perception of it in Hollywood and in that industry is that there are some people who have how do I say? There's some people who want to be in the spotlight for whatever reason, and they take chances that I probably would not take because I know it would put me in a pickle. Period. And not only in the industry, I was a model. I was a model in the 80s.
If you want a nice house, a nice car, or whatever the case may be, you got to have good credit. White America doesn't have good credit. So white women don't have good credit. Dating back to the Oklahoma's massacre, started by a white woman, Emmett Till, killed by Carolyn Bryant, lies.
Rosewood.
Rosewood, a white woman. I mean, and the list goes on, right? Emmett Till, it just goes all the way up to the white lady in Central Park who could have got that man killed over that daggone dog.
Did you read that? Do you know? I read that more white women killed their servants back in the day when they had slaves and living maids, and they would kill. They would get so angry they would beat them to death. They would strangle them. It was more white women than white men committing murders.
Right.
Oh yeah,
well, the white men were raping. That's why, and then the white women would be angry.
They were jealous because
they were seeing in 12 years a slave. where she picks up the ornament off the fireplace and throws it and hits her in the skull, you know, because she knew her husband was sleeping with her. See, so
my brother was a street vendor in Washington, D.C. for many years, and he dealt with a lot of racist white people that come to D.C. on, you know, tourists that come to D.C. And he told me this years ago. He says, because he dealt with a lot of rednecks, he says a racist white woman is twice as nasty as a racist white man.
Absolutely.
He told me that. He said a racist white man will have a beer with you. He'll talk to you, laugh in your face, everything. He might call you a nigga behind your back, but a racist white woman, their scorn, he said their scorn is a whole different level of if a white woman's racist, woo, you don't want no part of that.
Nope.
You know?
Nope. And Carl, we're not shocked because remember, and I just found this fact out. I'm not shocked by anything that's done that the women were violent because I just found out that the doctor that practiced the first it was actually a hysterectomy on slaves. He actually did that at his daughter's bridal or some kind of shower. And while everybody was eating, that was what they watched with no anesthesia, by the way. And then putting spikes in black babies' heads. I'm not shocked. It doesn't shock me that the women beat slaves.
Yeah. And they actually made a law that allowed them, that said if you beat your slave, I have to look it up to get the exact wording, but if you beat someone you own to death, you're not
yes,
well,
not
human, so
it's your property. It's your property.
Right.
Yeah.
Ronnie Long, anybody know that name? Ronnie Long was just released from prison. I think March 4th, he just released from prison. Ronnie Long, or May 4th, one or two.
Sings.
A black man who was accused of raping a white woman and spent 44 years in jail and just got out May 4th of 2021 and serving 44 years in prison for a crime he didn't do because of apparent rape of a white woman. And now DNA has exonerated him. You know?
Oh, there's a bunch of them cases this year.
So, you know, it's just like that's what makes this so. I'm not saying Bill Cosby's innocent or guilty. I wasn't there. I'm just saying this is what makes this a hard pill to swallow, because we know the history of this country. You know, we know just the history alone makes it a hard pill for. And even if and it goes back to the OJ thing. All right, just took one for the team, because look how many black people are in jail for shit they didn't do, you know? And two wrongs don't make a right, but that's why people cheered OJ, because of all the wrong has been done to African Americans so much that when OJ got off, a lot of people say, well, maybe he is guilty, but hey, there's a lot of brothers in jail because a cop put cocaine in their trunk when they weren't even selling cocaine, you know, and the judge put them behind bars, you know. Or the case with Mr. Ronnie Long, who just got out of jail. It's 44 years of his life in prison for something.
That is his life.
And for rape.
Yeah, exactly. They're gonna give him some money, but that's not gonna bring those years back. He got some money, he'll get a nice car, he'll get a nice house, he'll take care of his family right now. But that little couple of $1 million they're gonna throw him right now.
Look, he is already institutionalized.
Exactly.
Man, let me tell you something. I wouldn't take, if you asked me right now if I was served 44 years of my life in prison and then for $2 million, I say hell no.
$2 million.
I don't want no $2 million. I'd rather be living in the hood for 44 years and be in jail for 44 years.
That's right.
I mean, it's just well, we all know when you're black in America is totally different. So I'm sure there are other people of a different color from Bill Cosby who did a lot worse, and they're still walking around. And I give an example. I work for a company, and on Fridays, we used to have a barbecue, and during the barbecue, everybody would smoke pot. Everybody, the manager,
the company barbecue.
Yeah, we had a barbecue. I'm not gonna call them out, but it rhymes with Ugo. That's what I work for, and every Friday we had a barbecue, food and barbecuing, and everybody would smoke. The manager, the supervisor, everybody was smoking pot. The vice president, everybody, and they would pass to me. I would say no. You know why I said no?
Set up.
Any shit come out, anything go. You think that they're gonna, you know what I mean? You know, what do you think is going to happen?
Yep.
Yeah.
Did it.
Yeah, right?
He's the island boy. He
Did
bugging.
You know, because I know if anything, if come layoffs or anything goes wrong, and you know what I mean, they're gonna remember, oh yeah, remember Carl was smoking pot, and you know what I mean. But those white guys, they can get away with it. I can't get away with smoking pot. I mean, you know, even though they would ask me, well, come on, how come? And you know, of course, I'm from the island. Oh, he's from Barbados. Come on, you smoke. And then they thought I secretly smoked so much I couldn't smoke at work because I was smoking so much pot at home that I couldn't smoke. But my point is,
what you should have told them is like, I get the good stuff. I ain't smoking that trash.
You know? My point is, I knew I was black, and all of these white people smoking pot, they can get away with it if something happens, if there's layoffs, or anything. I don't have that luxury.
Mm-hmm.
I do not have that. I guarantee there's not a black person watching this program that if the company they're working for announced there's layoffs tomorrow morning, they're thinking, shit, I need to find a job. Right? That's the first thing that's gonna come to their mind. I need to find a job. Every single black person in America hear about layoffs, think it's me. I'm gone.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say Bill Cosby's guilty. He spent what now 2.5 years in prison, right? Almost 3 years in prison, in a state penitentiary. That's not easy to do, especially for a guy his age.
It was in solitary confinement.
For a guy who's used to living a luxury lifestyle that was taken away, and he was in that prison for what, almost 2.5 years, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So the lady that the reason he went to jail, what's her name? Angela Carlet. I don't mess up her name.
Andrea.
Okay, she received a $4 million settlement. Last time I checked, that's a lot of freaking money. So she's living. She should be. Her and her family's probably living, you know, a respectful lifestyle with $4 million. You know, I'm not minimalizing rape.
Mm-hmm.
Saying he did do some time in jail. She got $4 million. She's living in a house and driving a car that most likely she wouldn't have if it wasn't for Bill Cosby. That's all I'm saying. And I know people, and I'm a father of a daughter, so I'm not, you know, and I got a mother, and a sister, so I'm not saying rape is not a bad thing. It's a horrible thing. You know, I'm a victim of sexual abuse myself. All right, and you know, anybody read my book know that. But yes, I am. I came out public about it. You know, so we don't take it lightly when that happens to somebody. It's a bad thing. Somebody be violated. All right, but and I think Tanya, the victim, also she said publicly on the show. And
Me too.
Yeah, so we know what it's like. It's a horrible thing to be violated like that. So for that reason, I'm not taking up for Bill Cosby because of his skin color. Because if he rapes somebody, he belongs in fucking prison, right? But this whole story just stinks to high heaven as far as I'm concerned. And you know, he did some time in jail. People go, you only did 2 years. Let me tell you something. I spent 1 day in prison. I mean, not in prison, in jail, and I almost lost my damn mind. All right, so it ain't no place to be. No. 1 day, 1 week, or 2
Can
years.
I ask a question though? And this is just a curiosity. Was he in solitary confinement, or was he in general pop?
He was in general population.
He didn't get the white man's golf course.
Okay.
You know, they don't do that no more.
Kevin.
No, but I didn't know if they had him in protective custody because of his sickness.
Because he got assaulted. Somebody threw something at him when he first was.
Yeah, that was food fight.
Yeah. No, he
also Kevin.
Yeah.
But that's bad. He was blind. He didn't even see it coming.
Right. They got his blind side.
He was just sitting there like, hey, who threw that?
Kevin, you said something very important. Also, think about this. Weinstein, who was found guilty of raping 12-year-olds, okay, sex trafficking.
Weinstein.
Wait, no,
Epstein.
I'm sorry, Epstein. My apologies. Correction. Jeffrey Epstein, the one that allegedly committed suicide. Okay, so he got convicted. Okay, sex trafficking, multiple young girls, we'll say. Okay, and you know what they gave him? They gave him time, but they gave him an ankle bracelet to go home on the weekends. 1, 2, Ghislaine, his girlfriend, was to be exonerated of all charges, even though she was guilty too. But they exonerated her. She could not be tried if I testify of what I did. So that's like the ultimate.
Why do they have her in jail now then?
No, that's because let me tell you why. Because now there's more accusations and more girls saying, no, she's the main monster. They 2 people said she actually raped us when we were 12 or 17, whatever age we were. So they have like they're hard body with their evidence, and there's going to be more that's going to come out after this.
Bill Cosby actually worked
holding it for court, huh?
Bill Cosby actually ended up better than Epstein.
But I'm just saying, I don't even compare the two, quite frankly. I'm just saying he got that, and this guy who's convicted pedophile, got to go home on the weekends. What does that tell you?
But the other thing though that we don't usually take into consideration is the fact that it's all the luck of the draw. It depends on who your prosecutor is, who your judge is, who your lawyers are.
Absolutely.
So if you have a prosecutor who is harder or who's angrier about what you've been found guilty of than another, then the leniency is going to be determined by that as well.
It's not a black thing either, because everybody knows, well, they're supporting him because I believe R. Kelly is guilty. So I don't believe Bill Cosby is guilty. I do believe R. Kelly is guilty. People go, oh, you only voted for Obama because he was black. Well, that's not true, because black people didn't vote for Al Sharpton.
Nope.
He ran for president.
Jesse Jackson.
President. So it wasn't, you only voted for him because he's black. Because black people didn't vote for Al Sharpton. Black people didn't vote for Jesse Jackson, that voted for Obama, maybe, right? So, we always get that stereotype that we do is just because he's black. No, I don't believe the guy's guilty.
They go to the common denominator and they assume that that's it, and it's not always. It's more complex than that.
Yeah, so I do believe R. Kelly is guilty of his crimes. I do believe R. Kelly is freaking fried fish. I don't think he's going to get a preach, wake your ass up. I don't believe he ever. Don't you ever go to sleep while I'm talking.
You guys need a zapper.
I'm not saying you were boring. I'm not saying you were boring.
All right. Let's wrap.
We'll get Preach some Starbucks.
Yeah.
Preach. No, we need some Red Bull.
Preach.
No, honestly, it's not even that. There's been, a death. The funeral's Wednesday, and I was up until 4:00 this morning, working with somebody about final arrangements and things, and I think I went to bed at 4:30 this morning.
Right.
A family member passed away?
Yes, on the 21st.
Oh, I'm very sorry to hear that.
Yeah, so it's just one of those things where it's like it's not it's never an easy thing to deal with. But when you're dealing with people and talking with people, you can't tell people I can't talk anymore. I got to go to bed. If there's something and they're going through something, you try and be there for them, and you'll just listen and you'll be like, oh damn, all right, I'm down to 3 hours sleep. Okay, I'll get 2 hours sleep. Right, I can skip sleep. I'll just drink some caffeine. It's like.
Gotcha.
I thought it would have helped. What's his name? I'll guess. What's his name?
Nonzo.
If Nonzo would have been in the picture, it would have helped a little bit. The fact that he was talking in the dark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like Tom and Jerry. I was putting toothpicks in my eyes. Because there was no face to go with the voice.
That's why I was saying rap, because I was watching on numbers, and I watched our numbers just keep dropping and dropping and dropping. And I kept seeing people just leaving and leaving. So that's why I was like, okay,
we should open with the Bill Cosby.
Yeah.
We should open with Bill Cosby.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
Okay.
God, we should have opened with Bill Cosby. Then with the because that would have kept people in. Bill Cosby would have kept people in.
Yeah. But it's all good. All right, we're gonna wrap it up. I don't know if anyone has a final thought, but I'm gonna go with you, Preach, first, since you were so pissed off because you didn't get to speak. Go ahead.
I wasn't pissed off. I was just saying I had something to say. Anyway. Look, it's never a cut and dry thing. There are so many factors that are involved, and we can't ignore the things that we've always talked about from when they started. You know, we had a show that used to have more laughs until they killed Ahmaud Arbery, and then Breonna Taylor, and then George Floyd, and then One of Us a Week for the last year. We started talking about the systemic racism. There are slave codes out there that are still in effect today. The fact that police treat blacks different than whites when it was tried for the same crime, and we're looking at the same thing. Roman Polanski, who gets an Oscar after raping and fleeing, and yet they give him an Oscar. Allen, his stepdaughter after being the father.
Thank you. Frozen?
Yeah, he frozen.
Only temporarily. Only temporarily. Only temporarily. Because for some reason my did not disturb does not work today.
Someone's trying to call you?
Hit me up.
Yes, I tell people between 4:30 and 7, don't bother me, but that doesn't matter. Anyway, like I was saying, you have a Roman Polanski, you have a Woody Allen who when his wife marries, adopts a 14-year-old and they're married, 4 years later, you're marrying them. So what happened during those 4 years, that wasn't good parenting,
So
you're looking at her as she gets dressed every day going, wow, I can't wait till she gets old enough. There's so many other people, from Epstein to the Canadian guy that I forget his name.
Roman
Tanya
Polanski?
knows what I'm talking about.
Roman Polanski?
No, the Canadian.
What is he?
The Canadian. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It'll all come out in the news eventually. But there's all these people. So what Cosby did, was it bad? If it was so bad, like Kevin said, why didn't you come forward right away? If I woke up and somebody and I go, wow.
The kids come forward against the Catholic priest until 50
Well,
years.
that's different. Kids, there's no statute of limitations. Adults, you can't be 50 and come out at 80.
Okay.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work because now your
credibility is
anybody, a young person under 21. I totally get it. Sometimes any victim, actually, I understand because I know including me. I didn't come out right out and say, "Oh yeah, this happened to me." Then it took me, courage and building therapy to do that. So I get that part. I'm not saying that, but to be I'll just put it this way. I'm with Judge Joe Brown. And at first people were like, "What? What he said?" Judge, what's his name? Judge Joe Brown. You heard what he said? And he like the mob rule, and he said that there was no judge and no lawyer that was surprised as Cosby's rights was violated from day one. The victim has to prove, not the alleged offender, which we all know, but we don't really follow that. But also, what did he say? The prosecutor. Remember, I think you said this, man. The prosecutor had lied. Someone said that, Pam on here, or which?
Yeah, I think Pam said it.
The prosecutor had lied that he would not prosecute, and then he did, which is illegal. And there was also,
but can I just clarify that though?
I just want to forget the thought. He also said that the evidence was withheld, and which was major evidence. There's a lot of stuff that I heard, and I was like, if I would have known that, I would have been like, oh no. And also beyond a reasonable doubt with due process, and it was not. So it's only an accusation. He says from a legal standpoint of view, it's only an accusation. And he said, especially during that time, Kevin, I think you mentioned there was an old sexual revolution going on during that time where everybody was partying and popping and doing the hip hopping and all that stuff. So that makes it even more like, ooh, clouds of smoke going on. What's going on here? We don't know. So I don't know innocent or guilty. All I know is if I go by that law for this case, only this case, who knows? But the law says they messed up. Period.
So I just wanted to clear up one thing you said. The prosecutor who gave him that deal, although it was a verbal deal, is not the same prosecutor who prosecuted the case. Right. The prosecutor at that time gave him the deal, and that prosecution office should have upheld that. But instead, when the new prosecutor came in, they determined that they would go forward.
Right, and that's how they set it up that way. They knew what they were doing. They knew.
Okay. Any final thoughts other than that?
I just say, you know what? Go live your life because look, he's got more money than. He's got a lot of money. Hopefully,
maybe not now after them legal.
No, he's still got money. And you know what I say, if in fact he did willfully and intentionally take advantage of anyone, I hope that he will have to pay his penalty. If he didn't, I wish him all the best. And you know what? He's in a much better place than a lot of, like you were saying, our young brothers who have been wrongfully accused and been turned out, after being institutionalized, being turned back into society. So I wish him all that he deserves, whatever that may be.
One more thought.
Go ahead, Pam. Yeah, sure.
I know I went twice already. Sorry. The fact we have to also think about if everybody's so concerned, be more concerned about the fact that Hugh Hefner had lots of young girls at the Playboy Mansion that were underage, and I'll give you one, Kedra, what's her name? The girl.
Kendra.
He was saying, "Oh yeah, I met you when I was 17 or whatever." Nobody knew, and I was like, "Ooh, you're not the only one," because quite a few of the Playgirls were underage, and that's Hollywood Play Mansion. Like all the top dogs go in there and play around with those young girls. So now, like, if we're going to talk about morals and values and this is wrong and that's wrong, okay, let's just throw everybody in. Hefner's one. Weinstein's the biggest one because, excuse me, he's not the only one. He's the only one that got caught. So remember that. But if you're going to put it, say it like Twitter was saying that Hollywood was saying, oh, they're going to blacklist Cosby or whatever. And I was like, really? How's this working? Gerald, you had it right. What about Woody Allen? What about Roman Polanski? What about, I could think of 5,000 people who got accusations against them in Hollywood, but no one did anything. So keep it fair across the board if you're going to do it.
All right, Kev?
Yeah, I just want to say the breaking news is that Bill Cosby and Preach victims preaching and Bill Cosby victims fell asleep because of listening to Nuzzo listening to Nuzzo talk. Sorry.
So bad. Oh God.
No, I want to.
All I know is I'll never look at Jello pudding pops the same.
No, I wanted to say that if Bill Cosby's a rapist and a monster, we'll never know the truth. Only 2 people or 61 people know the truth. But Bill Cosby's also contributed some good in the world.
A lot.
He's developed a TV show that put positive images on television. The Cosby Show for years showed positive images of African-American family.
Different world.
When Norman Lear put so much negative images of black people on television, cooning, and allowed the N-word to be said on the Jeffersons and on Good Times and all these other places and stuff like that. But that's another show. But yeah, Cosby's done some good stuff in his life for Black America. He's donated millions of his earnings to the United Negro College Fund. He's paid for a lot of black people to go to college that couldn't afford to go to college. You can Google that. I mean, Bill Cosby's put some money out to help.
He tried to buy NBC and they blocked him for
they blocked him. Yeah. And they blocked him. But before he even got to that point of trying to buy NBC, he always put his money into the community as far as helping kids go to college. That's why he got all them. He got a lot of those honorary college degrees that they all took back and stuff like that. He put a lot of money into a lot of stuff to help people. And nobody ever once talked about giving that money back that he put out. He put out millions of dollars to people who did, to help people have better lives and get education. So for whatever it's worth, he's done some good. He's done some time in jail. He's given up some millions of dollars to his victim, and he's done some good. So for people to act like he's just a monster and he's Hitler, I hear all this and see all this negative stuff on social media.
Yeah.
And that's what we always get. I mean, we're always going to be that, Cosby it's OJ for years. It was Michael Vick, that's Cosby.
And they don't talk much about R. Kelly. You notice that?
Yeah, that's true.
They don't throw him under the bus like they do everybody else.
That's because R. Kelly was a bigger star to us than he is to them.
Mhm.
Is that why?
R. Kelly was an R&B
Mhm.
artist.
Yes.
Was an
And he
R&B
wasn't doing
artist.
anything
And not
positive
really
to
a
the community.
crossover. It was
No,
like
he
he was
wasn't.
Michael Jackson. You know, I'm saying
Oh,
he's
that's
talented and he's huge, but he wasn't a pop artist. He's an R&B
Mhm.
artist. And
Mhm.
he was a big star to us more than he was to white people. You
Mhm.
know, a lot of white people probably didn't know who the hell R. Kelly was before the scandal even broke out.
Mhm.
You know, so I think that's one reason, Tanya, that he doesn't
And
get
and also
pressed.
and also look at his victims.
They're all
Yeah,
black.
they're all black girls like
12-year-old
that.
young girls.
Young black
Don't
girls like
matter.
that. All
Good
black
point.
girls. And we
Yeah.
already know, that's a great point, Pamela. And you already know how they feel about black women in America. We did a show
Mhm.
on missing black women. So
Yeah.
nobody, they don't care, right? So he
Yeah.
raped some black. Now, if R. Kelly would rape some white women, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
He'd be the biggest thing. So yeah, America now has another boogeyman, is what I was going to say. They had OJ, you know, and they had Michael Vick, and now they got Bill Cosby for the next. Bill Cosby's now the boogeyman that everybody's going to go to. America keeps a boogeyman.
Nobody's worse than Weinstein. Sorry, and Epstein.
And you're right. You are right, Tanya. Though those, but they're Jewish people, so they're not going to get the hate that a Bill Cosby's going to get.
But it's going to be interesting because if you want to put Weinstein and Epstein together, think about Epstein as Epstein brought other people into his little playhouse.
Yes, the guy that had Victoria's
And
Secret.
some very high-ranking folk.
Yes, and
that are very afraid.
princes from England, everybody.
But the thing is, the stench of Bill Cosby is going to linger a lot longer than Weinstein or Epstein.
Yep, probably so.
Oh yeah, it's going to linger.
Of course.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of course.
Yeah.
He's the new boogeyman. I just said that. He's the new boogeyman. He is the guy that America loves to hate now. They got to have one of us to always got to hate. You know, the happiest person in America right now is O.J. Simpson.
Yeah.
See, they can't ignore the fact, though, with Epstein, you know, you had a prince from England. You had Bill Clinton. You had
Gates.
Yeah, but my point is
Gates.
the stench of a black man's crime is going to linger a lot longer.
You're
right. No, they want it to linger a lot longer.
No, it
but,
is. They're going to make it linger. They're going to make sure it lingers. You know what I mean?
Time will tell. Yeah.
Yeah, the stench of what Bill Cosby did is going to linger in the air. I mean, remember Marv Alpert when he put on women's stockings and
when he was biting women's backs,
right, and biting women.
Okay, that was hookers that he paid for. Okay,
right,
and he had her for the hour. Okay,
and then he came back.
So he got a little hungry. Okay,
So he take out of the crime, and he did.
Right, and then he came back and started announcing basketball games, like, you know what I mean? Like,
well, look, I mean, they took Michael Vick back too.
What did Michael do?
But you know what? Michael Vick should have never been convicted and done time because they let Dante Starworth, who killed a man drunk driving, and got probation, and because they had dogs fighting on Michael Vick's land, they never said he had anything to do with it. It was on his property. He did jail time. That's the whole MSPCA thing where they care about their animals more than they care about people.
That's right.
We're going into our.
I always say bears and fish have more rights than a black man. You know that.
Well, that's true. I mean, animals. You know what I mean?
Hunting seasons.
Listen, I'm on a app, a group chat in my neighborhood. There's an animal rights group. There's an equal rights group.
Yeah.
The equal rights group has like 7 people. I'm not even kidding. The animal rights group have like 2,000 something people.
Well, you know what it is, Carl. You can kill a bear in a certain season, and a fish. If you go out of that season, they're protected.
It's so funny, and the white people always posting pictures. Look at the beautiful fox, and all the white people come. Oh, they're so beautiful. Look at the beautiful deer. Look at the bird. There's an eagle nesting in my backyard. Look at the eagle. You know what I mean? And then you come over here.
And then you see a picture of a black person and say, "Did you see this suspicious character lurking around in the neighborhood?"
You know, and it's just so. I mean, it is what it is. You know, I think I'm safe to say this: white people like animals more than they like people.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Not all of them, but most of them.
Yeah, most of them, I think.
But look, I saw a lady raise $60,000 for, guess what?
What?
For a cat shelter. In 2 hours, she raised 60 grand. 2 hours. And for foster kids, you're lucky if you get good donations.
Yeah, you're lucky you get a bag of chips.
Exactly.
Crazy.
Yeah, so
Oh,
it is what it is. Well, we had a 2-hour show today, and Tanya
wow.
said, I hope we stick to our hour show today at the beginning. I said, okay, no problem.
You'll get an hour show if you could tape it and edit it.
Yeah.
But you're not getting that.
Yeah.
An hour was a wicked preach up.
Yeah.
What you see what G said? He said Bill Clinton said, "I did not have sexual relations with that woman."
That child.
G heard that Bill Clinton. That
Hillary
one
knows
me.
That's
I
why
think
she
that man
ran
was the
off.
coolest. I did not have sexual relations
with that woman.
We weren't talking about Hillary.
We weren't talking about sexual relations. We were talking about having sex.
No, we were talking about sexual relations. He said I didn't have sexual relationship with that woman. I said, yeah, we're not talking about Hillary.
What time is the game tonight?
All right, we're gonna wrap it up, folks. Thank you for hanging in there. We still have people.
Thanks for having me on, you guys.
Pam,
You're awesome, Pamela. Always great to have
we love you, Pam.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anytime.
Yes.
And I will only have to talk about West Indian stuff.
No, okay. You know that. It's like when Fox News, when something happens to a black person, Fox News gets the one black person.
There you go.
Like, go,
Yeah, we gotta call.
What's your view on this?
Oh, man.
And it's like, and I'm
Next week
sure
is
it's
why
what we're thinking.
Why is jerk chicken so expensive? All right, next week.
Yeah,
We'll have Pamela.
man, we're gonna have you on that
And
show.
all the jerks buy it.
Yes.
We're gonna have you on that show,
Look,
Pam.
Trump, what do you think, black person?
Yeah.
Well, wait. Try to hide the 1 tooth,
Hey, maybe we'll do a show on black restaurants soon. How about that?
Black restaurants. Wow.
Restaurants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Black-owned business. Black-owned businesses. All right.
That'll be a good one. Hey,
Wayne has been sitting there so quietly.
Wayne, you're back. He's back.
I was
Just the last hour.
Hey, Wayne.
Listen quietly because that's your forum, but I have my opinion about it.
I would be doing all these African jokes. I knew you were still around.
Don't forget the system that took out Bill Cosby in Kobe's death is the same set of system that was trying to make this man a horrible man.
Yes.
I'm glad you brought that up. You know what? I'm glad you brought that up. I played Gail King in the beginning of that video when she was asking the girl, "Did you go up? Did you feel uncomfortable going up to his bedroom?"
Yes.
I don't know if you guys noticed how she emphasized did you feel uncomfortable going up to his bedroom?
Why did they have them go up to the bedroom though?
Well, I guess Bill Cosby, when she went to Bill Cosby's house, Bill Cosby was in the bedroom.
But that was whoever his people were, they should have known better.
But
women should have known better too. There's a two-way street on that. Sorry. I'm not going to nobody's bedroom unless I plan on sleeping with them. I'm not doing it.
But Pam, I want to say something to you, right? It's I've studied the American culture, and we just came off a program was talking about what is happening to black people. The real issue is that they're trying to destroy the black man in America. They're really trying to destroy him.
Yes.
And if you take a man like Cosby, I watched Cosby as a kid. I looked up to this man. This man is everybody's father. You know how perfect it is to destroy a man like him? You know how perfect it is to destroy the black family and the image? That's what they're working on now. That's why there's such a big attack on the black American.
Yes.
And the black American, the way to the black American is to make the black woman hate the black man.
Yeah, absolutely agree.
And it's working. And it's working.
It is.
But
Bill Cosby is that's like buck break. That's part of their buck breaking, right? That's kind of like
they're working. They're working on the black man and listen. People don't talk. People of power, whether male or female, abuse it. There's a lot of men that can give you stories that women abuse them too, right? It's just something. It's just people use the power to do things. But I as Kevin said, a black man, I didn't care how much money he has, did anything to any white woman in that time, he's gone. He don't stand a chance. So something is totally wrong with that story. Something is totally wrong with that story.
Yeah, I mean, you kill the chief, all the Indians. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Exactly. So you know.
Well, I believe you're right. They wanted to destroy that. Get it out of your head that there's such thing as a black man who takes care of his family, has values, has morals. I mean, I knew that was just going to be way too much for anybody to handle. I didn't know how we got away with that long, honestly. But there's also the fact that I know if I make that kind of money or if I'm in that position, I'm going to try my best. The most you'll hear about is like if someone's planting on something on me, I can't help that. But you're not going to hear about me as a man, a black man, in a room with no chick if I'm married at all. Because why? Because I already know they waiting for me. I already know it. So,
but I think that when you there's a certain level that you get to that you actually think that you're above that, and I think that's the downfall. I'm just saying. But getting back to this reporter, though, I think that whoever Cosby has in his camp, he really needs to look long and hard at, because if you have just gone out of jail for inappropriate behavior with a female, why are you accepting reporters in your bedroom? The look does not look. It doesn't give the right perception. The message isn't good.
He was on bed rest.
Unless he's got an intravenous in his hand where he cannot get out of that bed, I don't think that they should have done that. I am sure he has a mansion. There are other rooms on that floor that he could have been on. It's just not it.
I know, right? The guy just got out of jail for sexual assault. And then my bedroom.
I think it's hilarious.
Yeah.
His publicist should be fired.
Did she go?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's gonna go after the story, of course. But
there it is. Whoop, there it is.
No, not good.
You're reporting on a guy who was racing against people in the bedroom and doses them, and you go. Did she take a cup of coffee?
I call the man a sexual predator. How could he be a predator at that age? I mean, it was just a funly destroyed it.
Yes, they make it sound like it was children. Hello, no. First of all, let's get these titles right. Because if you didn't give one or whatever his name is, Weinstein, that title, then I don't know where you came up with that for him. Because now it's really a blurred line because you have to prove that he's guilty, and nobody proved that yet. So we can't call him that yet. Technically, I mean, you and I can say that, but technically, I don't really know.
Hey, I'm late on my date. I gotta roll.
All right, brother. All right, man.
Bye.
We're gonna wrap it up.
Join us again, all right?
Yeah. Okay.
We'll get a topic that doesn't involve
my people.
Involve your people. And Wayne's people.
All right, thanks to everyone.
And we're all one people.
That's it.
That's right.
And,
That's right.
Yeah.
Thanks, Pamela, Joe.
I see you guys
Thank
Tuesday night,
you.
okay? Tuesday night.
Anthony Robertson, Tuesday. Thanks to everyone. I'm not going to get everyone, but thanks to everyone for watching. Thanks to everyone for commenting. And if you want to jump in on the topic, I'm going to put the link in the group, in the chat, and you guys can jump in on any of our shows. Thanks again, and we're going to go out on. I think this is the video.
Wipe it down. 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 Won't you wipe it down? Won't you wipe it?
You know, because he's not supposed to have fun anymore. Anyway, thanks to everyone for watching the show. We'll see you guys next Saturday.
Bye.
Thanks, Wayne. Pamela, thank you so much. We're going to have you back for non-West Indian shows.
Yes, Wayne. Thank you, Wayne.
We love you guys. We love everyone for watching the show. We love you for supporting us.